Upcoming elections spark a wave of demonstrations and strikes across the oil field. Local guards turn their weapons on Lukoil workers.
He cocked the weapon, aiming to me.
Demonstrators blockade the oil field and lay siege to the ultra-secure pilot camp.
This thing might escalate to a point where it really becomes out of control.
With fuel, food and water running low, decisions have to be made.
Worst case scenario, we just will get our cars going to airport and leave back to Russia.
Hidden deep below Iraq is the world's largest remaining untapped oil field, WQ-2. Extracting this oil is the greatest task ever faced by oil workers. The greatest challenge of all is time. They have to lay hundreds of kilometers of pipelines, build a central processing facility, tank farm and power station, and drill wells, all within 14 months.
И это была такая гонка со временем, это как быстрые шахматы.
March 2013.
The WQ-2 oil field in southern Iraq covers 28 square kilometers.
It's home to 70,000 Marsh Arabs. They've lived in this unique landscape for centuries.
They were persecuted by Saddam Hussein for decades.
But now, thanks to Lukoil, they're getting a new start.
Очевидно, что первые шаги были очень сложными, и было определенное недоверие между нами и иракскими руководителями.
Lukoil have already given 4,000 men unskilled jobs on the oil field, and they've established a centre to train a skilled workforce from the local population.
We need very qualified people to operate and to maintain these facilities. We plan to recruit, like every year, from 150 to 200 people. And, we will develop them, and they will replace expatriate staff on all levels, starting from first line supervisors, superintendents, managers, etc., etc. We are proud of this training center. We are the first from the international oil companies working in this area that constructed this training center. And this training center is a clear evidence of how much Lukoil paying attention to the development of local workforce.
It's a good chance for these guys, young guys, 25, 35 years old, to be the elite group of workers and receive a good salary. I think it's our mission. We show to everybody in Iraq that we are ready to do something for this society.
Doing something for Iraq also includes removing the thousands of unexploded bombs and mines here, the legacy of decades of war that make the entire region unsafe.
Today they're clearing this section of the mighty River Euphrates.
This crucial task is being undertaken by a local crew from the Arabian Gulf Mine Action Company. For these guys, it's more than just a contract. They are making their country safe for their children and future generations. The team have deployed 2 boats, one for the divers and one for a paramedic team. Nawaf Akalady coordinates the divers' missions from the shore. He knows this river well and its hazards.
It's a dangerous job that we have, and under the water there is a lot of problems that we are facing. Even the people that we are working with us, they know the dangers of this issue.
The 2 boats cruise to the area to be searched. To search the river, the guys use this torpedo-shaped sonar device called the Fish. This is how the fish works. The pulse sweeps the riverbed, and when it hits metallic objects, it registers a different frequency on the listening device held on the boat. The fish registers an anomaly on the riverbed. They close in on the area where the signal is strongest. The sonar gives a fix on the location, but it doesn't know what the metal object is. It could be scrap metal, but it could also be bomb. The divers have the most dangerous job of all. It's their task to dive into the murky depths of the river to retrieve the metal objects. To do this, first they need to get a visual sighting. Once under the water, they slowly swim towards the metal objects, but they can hardly see their hand in front of their face.
The main danger is that if they don't identify the right ordnance or the dangers of these ordinances inside, that will be dangerous on them, because maybe he will move them, maybe he will just click on them. That will be dangerous. So he must be good in identifying all these ordinances.
Underneath the water, the divers feel their way slowly and carefully along the riverbed. Above them, the crew waits anxiously. Searching in the murky waters, the guys can't find any metal objects. Then, out of the depths, they see a bomb. Then slowly bring it to the surface. They carefully pull the bomb onto the boat. It's an 82mm unexploded mortar shell from the First Gulf War.
1 to 3 years in the water. Inside, the explosive metals have been already expired.
This time they're lucky, but in demining, you can never be too careful.
It's our job to prevent any risk, even if it is 5% or 1%. Because there is another people will be going to work, and they must be satisfied that all this region have been safety.
Once the river is totally cleared of bombs, local people can return to work in these waters, free of fear.
Basra, the capital of southern Iraq and the largest city in the area. Next month, local elections are due here. Lukoil bosses are worried.
There are some political elements, mainly those from Islamic organizations or movements. They try to use the poor, simple local people in their interests just to catching the power. And they unfortunately used the elections to threaten foreign companies.
Unrest has swept the city. Strikes have been held and dozens killed in car bombs. And much of the unrest has been fanned by unscrupulous politicians spreading rumours that most jobs in the oil field have been taken by men who aren't from the area.
And alarming for Lukoil, these problems have found their way into the heart of their operations, the pilot camp. This is where Lukoil's permanent staff live and work. It's the most secure site on the entire oil field.
Normally, it's buzzing with activity. Today, nothing moves. It's in total lockdown, with everyone other than the security team confined to their cabins. This is why. These are local guards with a pay grievance. Last night, they tried to storm the security office, which is inside the inner compound of the pilot camp.
Вот один из моментов, когда охранники, находясь на вышках, покинули вышки с оружием.
The men enter the inner compound and head towards the security office. They have their weapons raised and ready to fire.
Вот явно агрессивное поведение, что не надо знать несколько языков, видно.
An announcement was made across the PA that is spread out throughout the camp that every individual stay where you are, get low, adorn yourself with the body armor, lock your door and stay as low as you can.
В этот момент или в следующий
A gunshot is pretty clear. You know when a gunshot is being shot off.
They started shooting by the office, just in front of the office outside.
I saw more of the security guard force rushing past me and cocking their rifles.
Hishan recognises the men as his friends and colleagues.
I told him, hey, my friend, just calm down. And he told me, just fuck off. That's basically, just fuck off. And he cocked the weapon, shots one round there, aiming to me.
The situation is worsening by the minute. General Fedorov takes control.
The first step was my order made by telephone to the chief of security service here in pilot camp in Iraq to blockade them.
The expat guards surround the Iraqi guards and without firing a single shot begin to move them towards the main gate.
Вот буквально на этой камере видно, когда экспаты выдавливают.
Confronted by highly trained ex-servicemen, the Iraqi guards back down. Order is restored.
The armed and disgruntled Iraqi guards have been joined by their tribesmen who are massing at the front gate. The police arrive and attempt to defuse the situation, but the Iraqi guards are too angry to leave. The Iraqi army arrives at noon the next day. They talk with the guards for 3 hours before the siege is finally lifted. But this is not the end of the incident. When news reaches the central processing facility of the pilot camp shooting, many of the local Iraqi workers down tools and join a demonstration outside the security gates. All work within the CPF comes to a halt. This marks the beginning of a month of strikes and increasingly violent protests across the oil field. But next morning there's another problem. Work at the central processing facility, the CPF, is already behind schedule.
And now a rumour that some employees are being paid extra for working on Friday, the Muslim day of rest, has led to the men here going on strike.
The Korean company Samsung, who are building the CPF, refused to negotiate.
Now working, all cohort, working, working man, all cohort.
The workers won't go home or return to work. Lukoil dispatched the Iraqi supervisor to resolve the problem.
راح نديكم حقكم كامل بس انا ما اريد مشاكل يوميه قاعدين هنا انتم
هون حقنا كامل.
لا انتم يوميا تسوون لنا هاي المشاكل، انتم تسوون مشاكل تسوون مشاكل ما تردون حلول.
سؤال واحد رحمة على والدي.
نعم.
ليش ما تسبون الجماعة؟ 31 جيت لي الحساب ما غايب ولا يوم الله يشفي. ها؟ جيت لي الحساب اعطاني 5 ورقات و40,000 دينار.
تطلعون من الدوام تعالوا لي للدائرة وانا احل كل مشاكل. يلا قوموا شغلكم اخوان. يلا تقبلوا قوموا شغلكم. يلا شباب.
The men return to their jobs. But the dispute has laid bare the cultural differences between the local population and the men charged with getting the job done on time.
They are not willing to work and has know about the kind of working culture itself. So they don't know why they are here. The meaning of working until 3 o'clock means we want to leave from the site 2 o'clock, then I can go back home by 3 o'clock. So you pay me until 3 o'clock. That's quite odd for us, and that was the most difficult things that we should have dealt with.
Many locals are well aware of the benefits Lukoil have brought to the area. Salman Abd Ali Hassan is a local businessman who supplies Lukoil and Samsung with cranes and trucks.
مجيء لوكويل والشركات اللي معاها زاد الشغل بالنسبه لآلياتنا، بحيث هسه تشوف عندنا آليات بالموقع كلش قليله ظاله، والبقيه كلها بالعمل يم لوكويل والشركات اللي وياها. قدرنا نشتري مثلا احنا كنا بذاك الوقت عندنا 3 كرينات هسه عندي 9، عندي مثلا كان تريلات بس 2 هسه عندي 8، فاحتياجي يزود العمل، كل ما يزود العمل احنا نستفاد ويزود الآليات مالنا.
There are now only 2 weeks to go before the local elections in Basra.
Lukoil bosses are determined to calm the atmosphere and remind the local population how much they are helping the region. So they've dispatched 2 of their senior management team, Vladimir Fedorov, head of security, and Kirill Smolyakov, director of external affairs. Fedorov is a former 3-star general and speaks fluent Arabic.
He's meeting Colonel Shaher, whose troops guard the oil fields.
هذا الحقل.
ايه.
نسميه الشرطي ايضا لتعزيز المحيط الخارجي.
ايوه.
للحقل.
اي نعم.
General Fedorov is not convinced enough is being done to deter local troublemakers.
مثلا فكر يا اخي هاي إلك مو للشركة. أنت بدك يعني تكسر شيء تخرب شيء ما ففكر شوي فكر واصبر شوي ما ممكن نحن في مرة واحدة آلاف من الناس مشغلوهم.
Kirill is taking part in the second half of Lukoil's 2-pronged plan.
Meeting the tribal sheikhs.
Our job now to explain the local people through the sheikhs that we have a lot of people from this area as the workers in Samsung, Enka, and there are some contractors. There is some troublemakers in society which don't want to accept anything. They want to make troubles and get benefits for them personally. We have to explain to local powerful men what kind of efforts we did and what will we do.
Kirill has come to talk to Sheikh Falek, leader of the Al Batat tribe, at the tribal guest house.
هاي الناس انت تعرفها معركة صدام لما ماله وخاوية ومضحية حكومة جميع المواطن خلي الشيء روح وجه الحكومة خلي الشيء ما راح يتعم عليك ولا تشتغل.
لا يقول لك هذا حكيهم.
لا حكيهم ايش حكيهم؟ هذول يروحون بغداد.
المتعاقد لازم يضغط عليهم. بجهودهم.
اقعد بجهودهم، لا حكومة الناس تعبانة يا نريد حمايتهم، نريد احترامهم.
The dispute boils down to money. The tribes believe they aren't receiving adequate compensation for allowing the oil companies to drill.
تعبانة. بعد حكومة اجت وشيلت مواطن قلت له شيل مالك أرض ميت بيها.
المحافظة ما تقدر تشيلها.
ترى ما شيله ولا روح خلي بلغ منطقة مو خوش. خلي هذا أريد كرامتهم، أريدهم يعيشون، بس الحكومة تقول له مالك شغل وقاعد على ميسة دمرت العالم يا رمضان.
Kirill spells out that if the unrest continues, Lukoil may pull out, and the consequences for the tribes would be devastating.
3,000 people in Samsung, and total more than 5,000 people in our project, Iraqis, lost their job. All companies which supply water, food, concrete, asphalt lose their money immediately. Кто это говорит?
بالنسبة رمضان
Вы же говорите, позвони, говорите, священный шейх, что ты звонишь каждые 5 минут?
قد مشاكل بين الناس هم تريد تعيش، نزلت وطت ديرتها بشيء دون شيء طتها وصبرنا قلنا بلكي تستفاد الناس. هسه من دخلت وصارت هيك شغل مشاكل، ما لا انا ولا انت نقدر، انت بعد ما نعرف.
Lukoil is making a massive effort to help Iraq. Over 5,000 of the 6,000 plus workers at the oil field are Iraqi. But the Sheikh's worried not enough jobs are going to his tribe. So Kirill promises to try and find jobs for 300 more. Meanwhile, Security Chief General Fedorov has been told the perimeter fence has been breached. Time to take a look. It's nothing to worry about.
They used to live here, and this is a very favorable place for agriculture and for animals to live in, to have food and to have water. Our policy with the local people to be with them, to work for them, to cooperate with them, to make very friendly relations with them, but not to seem to be weak. Nowadays, we don't prevent strictly this activity, but later, of course, it will be closed absolutely 100%.
It's now just a week before the elections are due to be held in Basra. The tension between the company and some of the locals is increasing. This is Adnan Shuba. He's a local Iraqi who works for Lukoil.
Adnan has got one of the most difficult jobs on the oil field, dealing with the tribe's claims for compensation when Lukoil needs access to the land.
Every color is a different tribe, about 25 tribes in this area. So we have to deal with all these people. All companies have trouble with the tribe. Everyone can say, this is my land. Until now, 600 people receive money, about $100 million.
Впервые крестьяне получили компенсацию в Ираке за всю историю, получили компенсацию из правительственной казны для потери их сельхозугодий, которые необходимо были перевести в промышленные земли. В период Саддама их просто выселяли и все. Здесь было сделано все цивилизованно. Люди получили то вознаграждение, на которое они рассчитывали.
Because huge amounts of money are involved. Every claim needs to be investigated. Landowners are given GPS devices to measure the land. This man sets off. "30 minutes later, he returns with the boundaries of his land mapped out. The coordinates of the route are uploaded to a computer. There's a problem. According to the record, some of this land belongs to a neighbour.
خبر على القاع الصف اي خليه يعبر اي راح انا من اخذ بالدائره راح استخرج الاحداثيات واعملها تعديلات وهم قالوا احنا ربما اخطانا.
The farmer is adamant he knows the borders of his own land.
احنا نسولف وانتم تسولفوا غير تفصيليا مسقط راس صار له 12 سنه ازرع هنا عندها شبر شبر.
Whether the landowner has walked into his neighbour's land deliberately or by mistake, compensation for this additional land is worth a huge amount of money.
The extra part worth about 20 million dinar. It's a very big number. About more than $60,000.
Adnan doesn't confront the landowner now. He knows that if he does, he might be threatened, as this has happened repeatedly before.
Killing us, threats by verbal, by phone, by directly threats. But here in this area, everybody have a backup. His tribe. No one can walk in this area without big tribe with him.
But Adnan isn't scared. His tribe is as big as any other.
I have a big tribe near corner. They have another tribe, so they balance the power of threats between me and them. So I don't afraid to their threats. It's not easy to walk here in this area alone, without backup.
The compensation issue will be resolved later by the tribal sheikhs.
Мы уже сейчас видим, как создавая рабочие места, как выплачивая компенсацию за земли, люди становятся более богатыми и более уверенными в своей будущей жизни.
At the central processing facility, tension is running high as the elections draw ever closer. Ivan de Pledge is a British security expert helping protect the sites. Every vehicle entering the CPF is searched by dogs and with mirrors for concealed explosive devices.
My worst case scenario is very simple. One of these wagons come in here and the driver running and saying bomb, 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 which is exactly why we have these procedures.
Today, a delegation of VIPs has arrived at the CPF.
This is about as high as it gets coming through here. However, they will be getting mirror searched in about 30 seconds, as is the protocol for everybody. Dale, Ivan. Dale. The security always wins, not the person. The situation always wins. Just so you're aware, Dale, every one of these PSD vehicles is getting mirror searched as they come into the lane. Over. I'll do a very quick mirror search, very, very quick mirror search. You shouldn't have opened the doors on you. I'll sort that out for you now, man.
Not everyone is happy about this.
I got him, sir.
Can we leave this search?
I'm afraid, sir. I understand, sir. I'm going around it. We're on the last vehicle now. Yeah, they're trying to put us under pressure for time. However, that's not my problem. I win.
But moments later, Ivan seems to be facing a more serious problem. A group of Iraqis are gathering at the front gate. With riots and strikes sweeping across the oil field, Ivan doesn't take any risks.
Keep on that, on comms, don't even worry about coming around on comms. Fiji Tower, Ivan, over.
Security personnel are on high alert. The men have a legitimate reason for being here.
Well, apparently they're waiting for a engineer from Samsung who's stuck at a checkpoint to arrive with paperwork to get these guys in, over.
They have all applied for jobs with Samsung. Ivan stands down.
A bit of communications glitch, if you like, and it was people actually here for interviews and aptitude tests. But it was almost a good test. You feel like a dry drill because we went through the protocols ready for locking down. So we'll put that down to a test.
Soon, another 65 local men will have work and will be able to feed their families. The continuing problems have given Lukoil bosses another headache.
The biggest problem of all is time.
Lukoil have to start pumping oil by November, just 8 months away. Nowhere are the delays more serious than at the Central Processing Facility, the CPF. That's where the crude oil, pumped up from many kilometres below the surface, is cleaned and made ready to be sent for storage or export. Lukoil has a solution. It's called simultaneous operations.
So before, we should wait until the completion of the foundation, then the completion of the pipe rack, then the installation of the pipes. What we did, we changed the plan totally.
When an oil field is built, everything is done consecutively. For example, foundations are laid before construction can begin. But Lukoil are doing things differently. Nowhere is this more apparent than with the construction of the pipe racks. These form the huge skeletons that carry the pipes around the site through which the oil flows, and the huge vessels where it's cleaned. While the foundations are being laid, the pipe rack is being built in a totally different location.
The traditional way of erection or construction of a structure still is at the site. We are not having time. We cannot wait for civil department to complete foundations for us.
Lukoil's main subcontractor, Samsung, needs to build 48 of these huge pipe racks to support the 80 kilometres of pipes and vessels that make up the CPF.
Here we are assembling and erecting pipe racks into modules.
Each module weighs up to 60 tons.
The most challenging is we have to move this big module all the way 300 meter, 200 meter away from its original place.
Moving these modules requires a special vehicle called a mobilisation trailer truck.
We are tightening it with chains, and operator is skillful. He knows how to drive carefully.
Normally, before such a move, the entire construction site would be evacuated.
It could be a big accident or problem. So that's why always well-trained, well-skilled, well-experienced operator do this job.
60 tons of steel makes its way across the CPF.
We cannot stop other work because of this movement. So we have to keep going with all operations without affecting other operations.
Finally, the module is in position.
But there are still another 28 more of these modules to be moved.
Despite Lukoil's best efforts, Some politicians have successfully whipped up local people by claiming the foreign oil companies are failing to provide employment. Now, troublemakers are blockading the oil fields.
They've stopped all traffic entering the site, including trucks bringing in supplies of fuel, food and water.
Call sign, stop. Copy. Okay, move back. Got it. And I'll get in car. 180.
روح ارجع.
Okay, you turn around, guys. Let's go, move, Arnold, move.
روح خلاص.
Across the oil field, demonstrators are becoming increasingly angry.
As you can see, there's probably about 400 to 600 people on the road, protesters. There is military out there and the police out there.
To protect their staff, Lukoil has suspended all work and moved everyone into the pilot camp.
Right now, all drilling was stopped. The worst case scenario, we just will get our cars going to airport and leave back to Russia. That's it.
And things are getting worse. Reynard Schau, the pilot camp manager, is carrying out his daily check of the water levels. These tanks are normally full.
We've got water to last us another 48 hours maximum.
Rationing is now in place.
They've made a decision, a conscious decision, to restrict consumption of our diesel, and then also to restrict as far as possible the consumption of water. My fears are that this thing might escalate to a point where it really becomes out of control.
Lukoil's managers are summoned to a crisis meeting.
You need to prepare your documents and belongings within 1 hour, and this movement will be coordinated by central dispatching unit and security staff.
The camp is to be evacuated with immediate effect. But as workers are about to leave, there's a new development.
An Iraqi army general and the chief of the oil police arrive with the leaders of the demonstrations.
We're accepting representatives of local tribes, and we'll see how the discussion will go. Thanks.
While the talks take place, there's nothing for the rest of the guys to do but wait. Behind closed doors, things are not going well. The relationship between the colonel in charge of protecting the oil field and the demonstrators is causing concern.
В этом зале для нас много незнакомых лиц, поэтому я буду обращаться к полковнику Имада. Мы ожидали прихода полиции и военных, но приход гражданских лиц для нас является сюрпризом, неожиданностью. И я прошу полковника Имада объяснить происходящее.
عرفت اللي يعني عرفت هسه انه كثير من العمال وليس يعني الفنيين اللي ما موجودين ضمن يعني منطقة العمل مالكم. كثير من العمال الاعتياديين انهم من خارج المنطقة، سواء كانوا عراقيين خارج المنطقة او اجانب.
Знаю, что в настоящий момент он выступает от имени местного населения и, по сути, является их парламентарием.
نشخص الأسباب ونعالجها. سمعت أنا من الإخوان يعني أهالي المنطقة هسه قلت وياهم الأسباب هاي اللي ذكرت قلت لكم فيها نفس الأسباب سابقة عدد مواد سبب عدم العمل ليش؟
Если это классифицировать правильно, то все 660 человек, находящиеся здесь на месторождении, находятся в заложниках у окружающих жителей. И вы, господин генерал, не принимаете никаких действий для того, чтобы разрешить эту ситуацию.
The tension in the room can be cut with a knife. The man who must guarantee the safety of all Lukoil's foreign employees seems to be on the side of the demonstrators.
Либо вы должны нам сказать, что вы не можете разрешить эту ситуацию, и мы у вас официально запросим ресурсы для эвакуации наших сотрудников и сотрудников наших подрядчиков.
Iskander has threatened that Lukoil will pull out of Iraq if their security cannot be guaranteed. Something that will lose Iraq billions of dollars in oil revenue. The Iraqi colonel now addresses the leaders of the demonstrations.
ومرد واحد فيكم ينظر بأي شيء كل شيء يعني أمور بالقوة مستحيل الشركة تقوم بأعمالها بدون تدخل من أي مواطن يعني وحتى يعني احنا ما نقبل انه الماي ما يدخل الشركة ولا وقود احنا نحكي يعني كأجهزة أمنية.
The colonel has made a complete about-face.
احنا كأجهزة أمنية جاي نحكي أمور اللي ما بدكم تنظرون بيها. هم أكيد اتصلوا بدولهم. أكيد شركة نفط الجنوب حدا مستشار قانوني. كل واحد يتصرف ضدهم ضد الشركات تصرف مو صحيح ماشي عقبة رأي الحال إلى العدالة. كلام ياب؟ نعم.
The demonstrations are called off.
I didn't like beginning of the meeting when he tried to represent local troublemakers, but then he changed his approach 180 and started to push them. So.
The evacuation is abandoned.
I hope that the local people understand today that no result if somebody will try to press Lukoil.
An hour later, the demonstrators have dispersed and the first consignment of water has arrived at the pilot camp. Calm has returned to the oil field. For now, the civil unrest is over. But the impact of the blockade on Lukoil's schedule has been devastating.
Проекта отставание наше составило примерно около 2 месяцев в целом. За эти месяцы была наша задача постараться сократить это отставание максимально для того, чтобы уложиться в наше время, которое мы себе наметили.
There is now a mere 219 days until the deadline for first oil. In the next episode, the consequences of the blockade are worse than anyone imagined. The Dubai HQ and the riggers struggle to free a struck drill bit.
We have been stuck for 6 days.
Fire the jars.
A new workforce needs to be recruited.
Quantity of working people here dropped from 3,200 down to 400 in the site.
While heavy equipment continues to arrive at the site.
The traverse lift is difficult. We should move.